Hi folks, and welcome back to Fishing with Den. Well, today we're going to be doing a bit of a review on this Matrix Horizon X 5000 size reel. Now this is the biggest version of the three reels, the 3, 4 and 5000, and I do actually have the 4000 here, which you probably saw me using a few weeks ago on a video where I was using it in conjunction with a heavy duty feeder rod. Now obviously the 4000 isn't designed for chucking 100-120 gram feeders, but it did do a really good job of it. And that's why I bought the 5000 size reel. Now you can see it is quite substantially bigger, but you're probably asking yourselves, if you don't watch the channel regularly, you're probably asking yourselves, well, why are we using this on the heavy duty feeder rod? Well, the answer is because I'd originally bought this, which is the Preston Intensity 720 reel. Gets some really good write-ups, and it is a really good reel, but it does have some downsides to it. Two in particular. For me, the drag on the front is called Speed Drag System, or SDS. Now, I've done a video on this, and I'll put a link up above now for you so you can actually see me going through this. But basically, you've only got 2 or 3 clicks to go from light drag to medium drag to a very, well, not very heavy, but quite a heavy drag. And it didn't really get on with it. I could have lived with that because I can always backwind if I need to when I'm catching a fish or playing a fish. The problem I had was that, if I just get this up, you see how far the spool comes forward of the rotor there? And I was getting constant line snags, tangles rather, just going up underneath the spool there and causing me issues. Now, if you look at the Daiwa and Shimano reels, they actually have a line guard, I believe. Certainly the Shimano ones do, to stop this happening. This doesn't have that. And so after a fairly major crack off with 0.28mm line, which is 8-pound Guru drag line, I finally decided that I wasn't going to use this anymore. So what happened then was, I didn't know what to use next. So in a little bit of an experiment, and again I'll put a video on this up above, I put this 4000 size Matrix Horizon X onto the heavy duty feeder rod and did some fishing with it, and it actually performed really well. Obviously it's not designed for what I just used it for, and I did say on the video it was a completely unfair test, but it was the only reel I had that I could use at the time because I hadn't quite decided what I was going to get to replace that one. But what that test did do was to identify to me that this is a really good reel. It didn't quite have the cranking power that I needed, but then, as I say, it's a 4000 size reel. But I do like the oversized spool, and I do like the clutch on it. Got a lot more responsiveness. Instead of just having 1 or 2 clicks, it doesn't have to go round and round and round, but you get a little bit more variation in the drag on this. So that prompted me to buy the big brother version here, which is the 5000. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of stuff here on the specifications of this reel in comparison to the Preston Intensity 720. And then we're going to take it out on the bank and we're going to give it a proper test. So let's talk about the 2 reels together then. Now, obviously size-wise, they're pretty similar. Okay? The spools, the diameter is about 64-65 millimeters. And what that means is that they both have a retrieve ratio of 4.6 to 1. And that means that this one gives you 96 centimeters of line on the spool for every turn of the handle. This one gives you 94. Haven't quite worked that one out yet, because if they're both the same size of spool, I'm not quite sure how there can be a 2 centimeter difference. But really what that means is that over something like 50 turns, I have to give this 1 extra turn if these 2 are accurate, because I haven't measured it, I've just gone by what's on the spiel. Now, also on these spools, if we look at if I just lift them up there for you, so if you look at the intensity, it's quite a long spool from front to rear. The Matrix is pretty good too, but it's not quite as long, and as I say, they're both the same diameter. The Intensity is designed for long range work of up to and over 100 meters. I'm sure it'll do that, but I don't necessarily need that. I just needed a reel with some good cranking power and the ability to do what I needed it to do. The Matrix one is designed for heavy duty fishing, feeder fishing, up to 60 to 80 meters. Now, if you remember when I was using this one, the 4,000 size, I think I threw out a bomb to about 60 odd turns, which is about 57 meters. And if the 4,000 size one will do that, this one will certainly do that. And that's all I really need from that reel, and indeed this reel. So let's talk a little bit more about the specs then. We've already said they're both 4.6 to 1 ratio retrieve. Weight wise, this is something like 20 grams heavier than that one. I think this is about 450 grams and that one's about 432. And that's about 3/4 of an ounce, so kind of nothing there either. What I do like on this one, and I mentioned this before, I do like double handle reels. Now I know a lot of people don't necessarily want a double handle reel, and certainly the Intensity only comes with a single handle. But the beauty of this is that with the Horizon X, you actually do get a single handle if you don't want the double handle. And the benefit would be, if I put these, see if I can do this way around. Right, if I put that on there, you can see that the single handle is substantially longer than the double handle version. And again, what that means is, if I do need the cranking power out of this, because for some reason I may not get it out of this one, then I can also just literally put this on. Lengthwise, this handle on the Matrix is a fraction longer than the handle on the Intensity, but it's as near as damn it, makes no real difference. When I spoke about this reel, I gave you the thoughts on the bail arm, and of course it is an automatic bail arm as well. You don't have to push it back manually. They also say that this has a rotor brake on it to stop the thing moving when it's, you can feel that that's quite stiff. So when you cast, excuse me, when you're casting, that actually stops that from flicking across, causing you an issue. So really the only other thing we need to know before we take this out on the bank is that the line capacity of this reel is 150 meters of 0.28 millimeter line, which is in this case 8-pound Guru drag line. And in fact, it's exactly the same on this one. So as you can see, they are pretty much similar in many respects. The only real difference seems to be that this one is designed for long distance casting, and this one is a straightforward feeder reel, which will get me up to 80 meters apparently. And I think at this point, that's all you need to know. So let's get out on the bank and give this thing a proper test.